Hello everyone, I am Left, and today I have a video for you guys that I want to share that is maybe a little bit more complicated than other things I've done in the past. I didn't really know how to formulate this into a video, but I think I have figured it out. So the gameplay in the background is going to be some Blitz from Vainglory. Shout out to the fans that I met in this private Blitz match, and I hope they're watching now. It was fun to play with you guys, and I did promise I would use the gameplay in a video, so here it is. And then next, it's going to be some PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, some highlights that I got from this week playing with some of my best friends, and yeah. So, let's get into the video. First, I want you to think about Celeste. What do you first formulate in your mind when you try to think of Celeste? Would it be a picture of her or one of her skins? If so, that's normal. But what if there was a different and more effective way to think about each hero? One that allowed you to more effectively gauge your drafting and win conditions rather than just thinking about a picture of the hero in their name. What I have is a more abstract way of thinking about the heroes in Vainglory, and it allows me to think quickly and make decisions in important Vainglory 8 double band drafts. It could be called hero profiling just to simplify things. So think about Lance, but don't picture him. What makes Lance any different than Arden, excluding his appearance? His abilities. Herein lies the key to this line of thinking. Do not think of Lance as a full hero. Just think of him as a set of abilities that are always used at the correct time and never miss. So therefore Lance's Impale, Gythian Wall, and Combat Roll. What does this mean though? It means that you should not fight Lance in tight spaces ever. It also means that Lance can effectively bash a fragile backline mage out of position in a team fight. And it also means that coupled with other crowd control, he can deter enemies from reaching his carries in a defensive position. Those statements are the elements of Lance's kit, applied to the gameplay in Vainglory. Now let's do another example, Finn. Finn is Quibble, Polite Company, and Forced Accord. Also, his perk Unstoppable is kind of relevant. But what does all this mean though, if we think about it like we just did with Lance, assuming that his abilities do not miss and they are used at the correct times? We can take this one even further in a little bit and apply it to our own items and hero choices, not just the functions that Finn performs. We can organize our new set of assumptions in a list. We know all of what I'm about to say simply because they have Finn. Finn creates a massive area of protection for his squishy allies. Simply being in range of Finn runs you the risk of being pulled or stunned. All three of Finn's skills are crowd control. He can use them offensively to grab a fragile target, or he can use defensively to protect his own carries. What you should gather from this is a heightened importance of reflex blocking when an enemy Finn is on the field, but also a need to stay spread out as a team so that he does not get 3-man hooks or 3-man quibbles. We can extrapolate this though, to include how items in specific drafting interact with Finn based on how we just profiled him. Crucible is mandatory. Breaking Point and Broken Myth, Dragon's Eye soon, are preferred. Finn is slow, so this is usually free Breaking Point or Dragon's Eye post 2.9 stacks for whatever hero has those items. You want to draft fast heroes that can out-rotate him early game. Say a Kashka. She's going to get from point A to point B so much quicker than a Finn. And simply being somewhere faster than the enemies can be in that same place in the first 2 minutes of a game equals a gold lead, it equals kills, and it equals an advantage moving into the rest of the game. If a mage is drafted, you want to make sure their damage is not easily body blocked. An example of someone whose damage can be easily body blocked is Weapon Power Kestrel. Although she's not a mage, her damage can be easily body blocked, and she is a good example here. The weapon power of Glimmershot can only hit one person at a time. If Finn builds a metal jacket and stands in front of all your Glimmershots, you're kind of out of luck. So a better mage option into Finn, or a better hyper carry option into Finn would be Celeste, because her damage cannot be body blocked, other than possibly Solar Storm. And then, okay, moving on, if a warrior or an assassin is drafted, they will probably need to have two things, dashes and blocks. If your Rona has Into the Fray, sure, that's cool, that's a dash. But what good is she if she can't block Quibble with her personal reflex block while she's using Red Mist? Like I said before, Finn creates a gigantic area of protection around his squishy allies, and has large area stuns like Quibble. Well, Quibble is the only large area stun he has, but it's a large area stun, therefore you've got to block it if you're a melee hero that's trying to get onto an enemy carry, past a Finn. He's like a big brick wall, but you can get around him with proper blocking and timing of your dashes. After a long time in this line of thinking, what I've listed out is synonymous to Finn in my head. When I think of Finn, or when the enemy picks Finn, I'm already thinking everything that I've just detailed to you. Just like losing is synonymous to the enemy's got Cath, Batiste, Glaive, and Draft. You don't even have to have drafting in your ranked matches to apply this stuff. Even in blind pick, you can think about and formulate your own hero profiles. Scarf, to me, says we need dive to assassinate him in fights, and at least one stun to stop Dragon Breath if he gets it off. Reza, to me, says that we need to draft tanky bruisers to whom his fire starter only tickles. We can also think about this in an adversarial sense, or what not to pick. Is there an enemy Celeste? Well, don't pick Batiste then. Is there an enemy Cruel? Don't pick Fortress. They have an enemy Petal? Don't pick Taka. There's an enemy Rhyme? Don't go triple melee. Each of these quote-unquote drafting proverbs that I've just given you stem from core assumptions about the heroes involved in their kits. This may seem complicated, but all you have to do is think about each hero's profile and how it acts with other heroes. Petal's Munions, they reveal Taka, therefore it's probably not a good idea to pick Taka into Petal because invisibility is a core part of Taka's kit. Rhyme's kit is entirely based on denying melee heroes through his heroic perk, through the second activation of his Winter Spire, his Chill Winds. Valkyrie is more of a jack of all trades for him. It's not directly focused on denying melee, but Rhyme's kit in general is focused on anti-melee. Therefore, you don't want to pick triple melee into Rhyme, because that's going to be an incredibly hard game to play. Fortress, he has to be in your face to work. But in his face is where Krull exactly wants his prey to be. Batiste has low range, and thus will be absolutely torn apart by a good Celeste who hits level 8. So, I can give another example here of how to play into Fortress while considering his kit. So you know that the enemy team has drafted Fortress, and you still can draft a majority of your composition. Say, the hero that you have on the board is Glaive. The enemies have Fortress, Ringo, and let me see here. Fortress, Ringo, and let me think. I'm putting myself on the spot here because I didn't have this in the script. Fortress, Ringo, and Reza. That works. So the enemies are playing Fortress, Ringo, and Reza. All that you have drafted so far is Glaive. You come down to your next picks. And what you would want to do here is think about how Fortress plays as a roamer. How Fortress plays as a roamer is that he has one mode, and that mode is Go. When Fortress goes, his allies are vulnerable. So what you would want to do is draft a counter dive into Fortress. Since you already have Glaive, Afterburn is sort of a dive in itself. So you can draft some counter dive in order to bypass Fortress's aggression and replace it with your own, taking out either Ringo or Reza while they're vulnerable. What you would do is you would want to draft something like Arden and then Kashka. If you have Glaive, Arden, Kashka, then say you don't get off any counter dive. You have Arden, who can protect your allies defensively. Arden can engage and disengage using his Gauntlet, Vanguard, and Blood for Blood. However, if Fortress and his team screw up one time on their aggressive dive, Arden can re-engage with the Gauntlet, and then Glaive and Kashka can use their dashes to take out the Ringo or the Reza, because of the lack of direct protection that Fortress offers to his allies. So, if you know how the enemy roamer or jungler or laner or carry plays in almost any situation, you can sort of outflank them in the draft and pick things that have a high probability of countering them. even if it's not like per se a super direct counter, like maybe Krull is into Fortress. You don't have to have a super duper direct counter just to beat somebody in draft. All you have to do is profile the enemy heroes and draft something that can play into them, like we just talked about with Ringo, Reza, Fortress into Glaive, Koshka, Arden. Each hero in Vainglory is really just a bundle of abilities. If you consider the parts of the hero in depth, the strengths and weaknesses of the whole become much easier to understand. At the end, let's talk about how you can play into Samuel. Samuel has Malice and Verdict, Drifting Dark, and Oblivion. So, how Samuel plays is that he wants to ramp up his Broken Misstacks and then cast Drifting Dark in the direction he wants to move, using his empowered shots to deal heightened damage. The important thing here is that Samuel casts Drifting Dark in the way that he wants to move. What can we infer from that? What would be the best way to remove almost all of Samuel's usefulness? I'm going to let you guys think about this for a few seconds, and then I'm going to tell you the answer. The best way to remove Samuel's usefulness from a fight is to push him out of his Drifting Dark. Afterburn him away. Separate him from the path of his Drifting Dark with a gauntlet. Anything like that. Anything that can push Samuel away from his cloud of death makes him basically half of the hero he's supposed to be. So, say you're playing against a team that is focusing on a Samuel as its primary carry. Now, you might be saying, why would anyone use Samuel as their primary carry? Well, we did in Vainglory 8 last weekend, so who says any other team can't? By we, I mean Nova. If you didn't know, I'm the analyst for Nova's Vainglory 8 team. But anyways, so if you have an enemy team that's going to be prioritizing a Samuel, say they've got Grace, Samuel, and Lane Weapon Power Kestrel. So you would want to be drafting something like Glaive. Glaive as a laner. Or then Lance as a support. And then to top that off, you would just want something that can outduel the Samuel 1v1. Like maybe you want a Jungle Scarf because they have a Grace. That is going to be a composition that is really going to mess with the Samuel, because you have 2, 3 different things that can push him out of his Drifting Dark. Actually 4. Impale, Githian Wall, Afterburn, and an incoming Dragon's Breath that he probably doesn't want to just sit in. So, like I said before, each hero in Vainglory is just a bundle of abilities, but if you study them in depth and consider how they contribute to the whole of the hero, it becomes way easier to understand the strengths and weaknesses of each hero, and this in turn translates to a better understanding of drafting, a better understanding of what counters what, and just an overall better understanding of Vainglory. So I hope this video was enjoyable and useful for you. I hope it didn't ramble on. I hope you understood it. If you have questions, please leave a comment down below. I wasn't really sure about making this video because I felt like it was going to be way too much information and way too much rambling. So please let me know what you thought down below in the comments, and I'll see you all later.